Hi there, I'm Molly,
And I'm Jamie. We're the owners of Hired Hand Software.
and this is season 6 of our From the Pasture podcast. For more than 15 years, we've been helping breeders promote their pedigree livestock with our easy to use, animal management driven website software.
Each week, we bring you stories from the pasture, breeding philosophies, ranch traditions, cattle knowledge, and conversation with folks using Hired Hand to power their livestock marketing.
So settle in for today's episode of From the Pasture with Hired Hand. Welcome to the From the Pasture podcast. I'm your host, Molly Clubb, and today we're headed north to Wisconsin to visit with Ryann Bauer of Rock Bottom Ranch. Rock Bottom Ranch is a first-generation Longhorn operation, and Ryann has been open about learning the breed, building her herd, and sharing the realities of ranch life, both on the ground and online. I'm so glad to have you on. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Molly. I'm very grateful to be here.
How's the weather in Wisconsin today?
Today it is sunny, finally.
Oh, nice.
I feel like we're kind of in like a May-December thing where one moment's 30 degrees and the next moment it's 50 and then the next moment it's 70. So today we're getting on a 55.
Nice. Here in Iowa, it's been, you look outside and you think, wow, it must be gorgeous out. And then you walk out there and it's still cold and windy and just not, you can't even feel the sun. And I don't like it.
No, I'm ready for spring, like a good spring.
Well, to start us off, why don't you just tell our listeners a little bit about Rock Bottom Ranch, what part of Wisconsin you're located in, how everything started for you. Just give us the whole story.
Yeah, so we're located in Maiden Rock, Wisconsin, hence the name. We're at the bottom, our ranch sits at the bottom of a hill on the Rush River in Rush River Valley. So originally we were actually just called our ranch the Bauer Ranch, and then my husband hated it. And I mean, we registered it, we created LLC with it, all of the things, and then he's like, I don't like that name. So I was like, okay, well, here we go. So we decided, he came back with Rock Bottom Ranch, and I fell in love with it. So that's kind of where our name originated from. And we are about 50 minutes east of the Twin Cities. So we're right on the border of Minnesota and Wisconsin. And the town that we live in, it's a very, very little town, but it's in the middle of where we both grew up. So it's pretty cool. We love our location. It's beautiful. We're outgrowing our property by far, when it comes to our animals now. So that's always fun. But we started in October of 2022, where I have always loved the animals. I've wanted them for a long time. Back when I was a little girl, I read a little book and it had Texas Longhorns in it. And I just thought they were the coolest animals ever. And truthfully, I thought they only existed in Texas. And everybody up here still thinks that. And then I was introduced to the owners of Painted Outlaw Ranch, Allie and Ammon, and had gone to a meeting there and got to see their animals, got to realize that they're not just in Texas, they're actually in Wisconsin, and they don't live too far from us. So I went to a meeting there and fell in love, and my husband was on a hunting trip, and I called him and I was like, we're getting Longhorns. And he's like, no, we're not. We're not set up for that. And I'm like, well, I already confirmed that we are. So that was in October of 2022. We started with 2 little heifer calves, and the rest is kind of history. We now, when all of our calves hit the ground, we'll have a total of just shy of 50. And I'm so excited. I love it. I love what it's brought to our family. I love that it's something that we can all do. I'm by far probably one of the greenest people when it comes to what I know and what I don't know when it comes to the Texas Longhorn industry. Like, I'm still learning as I go, and it is a trial and error type of thing. I've had a lot of tears, especially this year, but we're here, and I have a really big vision of where our ranch is going to be going, and I'm really excited for it.
So you read the book when you were growing up and decided you want them. Does that mean you also pictured yourself ranching and, living on a ranch and raising livestock? Or did you just know you adored the Texas Longhorns?
I think so. Obviously, being from Wisconsin, it's a dairy farm area. Everybody up here is dairy, and I've been around farming but it's not in my family. And my husband did milk cows when he was younger, but it's not something that it's like a generational thing. I just know that like a big thing for me, because I didn't have it growing up, is I wanted to create some kind of legacy and some type of thing that I could give to our kids. And all of our boys have been able to partake in this. So did I think that it was a ranching thing or the animal? Probably not originally, but as we got into it, it's something, like I said, that it teaches my kids hard work. It teaches them something of slow living and purpose, and brings purpose back into our life. And that is something that has even outweighed the beauty of these animals, which is hard because they're so beautiful. But I don't think that that was kind of where I was going right away, but it turned into something so much bigger.
So you mentioned the boys. How old are they, and what are their kind of daily roles with the animals?
So we have a yours, mine, and ours family. So my husband and I, we've been together now for 14 years, and we each brought a 5-year-old, 4-year-old into the mix. So he has a 17-year-old now. I have a 17-year-old, and then we have a soon to be 9-year-old together. My son was never around this type of lifestyle ever. His son was. So it was really cool to see him get so excited. But he was also the one that was super scared of the Longhorns, where my son was like, I don't know what to expect. So I'd tell him to go out and feed the cows or do something with them, and he would just go right out and do it. Didn't have a fear, where his son was very fearful of it. So it was funny to see that. Our youngest is obsessed with calving season, like thinks that he can go out and like grab the calves from mom and bring them in the house, but he can't. Luckily, he hasn't tried. He just talks about it all the time. So he does the chores for all the calves, and then our older two are very much involved in doing the chores if I don't do them, because majority of the time I'm doing the chores, because my husband has another business that he is very like he's out in the field all the time, and it's very demanding. So I do majority of the stuff, but the boys know that like if I'm in the house making supper or doing something, they're out feeding the cows, and they get to go, and everybody kind of, it's like a lottery when it comes to calving season, like who's going to calve first and what are we going to have and all that. But it's fun to incorporate that in their lives too.
So as a first generation rancher or cattle breeder, what surprised you the most about this type of lifestyle?
My patience. I'm not a patient person, and it definitely taught me, especially when it comes to calving season. I've also learned that I hate the term it's a part of ranching, because we've suffered some loss of cows very early on, which I'm grateful for, because we've had to like experience that and kind of get the lay of the land with that. But we've also had some loss in calves, and my husband's first thing that comes out of his mouth is, that's just ranching. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that statement ever again. I wasn't expecting that. Like, I think that because we have such a small herd, it's really hard. We're not a 1,400 head, 1,500 head dairy farm that we have around here, and maybe they're used to it. I don't know. I mean, I would hope nobody wants to be used to that. So the loss that we have experienced this year has been something that's been really difficult for me to face, because we've had to get the vet involved and kind of figure out what's happening, and do we need to change our feed program? Do we need to, are we not doing like whatever our vaccine protocol or whatever that may be? So that's something that I've had to adjust to, and just understand that like it's going to happen. Another thing that we're walking into is this next breeding season, after all of our calves drop, we're going to AI, and we've never done that. And so trying to figure out, how do we do that, adapting to that schedule, and making sure that we're picking the right cows to go, or the right semen to go with the cows, and all of that. It's going to be a challenge for me, and it's going to test my patience. And also, like, you invest a lot in that, and you're not guaranteed anything. And so that's a really hard pill for me to swallow. But as my husband says, it's a part of ranching.
Is there somewhere you go, like some resource you use, or maybe a mentor or anything when you decide to take on these things you haven't done before, like AI? Or when you mentioned you had to have the vet out, do you have like some go-to support that you can learn from or ask questions to?
Yeah, there are 3 ranches that I look to all of the time. Mandy and Cannon Odin. I always say their last name wrong, and I talk to them all the time. She's been a trooper for me. I lean on her quite a bit. And then Randy Murray and Dale Hunt, I talk to them a lot about their expertise because they've obviously been in the industry a lot longer than I have. And I just want their opinions, and I respect their opinions, and I respect the way that they approach somebody who's not been in it that long. They've both been so helpful for Jay and I, when it comes to asking questions about like, this happened with this cow, or what should we do with our bull, or anything like that. And I have a lot of what they've bred at their ranch in our herd. So like I said, I really respect that. It's been, I will say just in general, the community has been really, really great in some instances and not the greatest in other, but I'm just grateful that like we've been welcomed like we have for certain reasons and certain people because, we don't have a clue what we're doing. And I mean, half the time I feel like we're throwing spaghetti noodles at the wall and hoping that it lands. And for the most part, I will say I'm very proud of where we've come in the last, it'll be 4 years in October that we've done this because I do feel, and I don't really care what everybody else thinks, but when I look out in my field, I'm very proud of what we have out there.
Has anything came easier than you thought it would?
No, I don't know. I feel like I don't have a problem putting myself out there and, if I look like a fool, I look like a fool. So that's something that like I'm not complacent is not the right word, but I'm not scared to like fall on my face and ask for help and get the constructive criticism. And I think that in this type of industry, you know, there's a lot of money to be made and there's a lot of, that kind of thing. And we don't do it for that. This has started out as a hobby for us because I've loved the animals and it's still kind of very much so a hobby, but I'm hoping that down the line, we can make a little money because my husband, like when we meet with our tax people every year, they're like, you guys need to start making money because you're spending a lot. So maybe that was a little bit of a shocking thing. I don't think that we realized how expensive this industry can be. But it's worth it. And we love what we do. But the only thing that's really come easy is I don't have a problem putting myself out there. I don't have a problem talking to people that come before me and are in the industry for a long time. And even if they look at me and they're like, what are you doing? Well, I've not done this before. So that's why I'm looking for your expertise in it. And I don't have a problem doing that.
So you mentioned that you've suffered some losses. Do you feel like that's attributed, like, was it related to the winter weather in Wisconsin or, Longhorns not necessarily being, super used to that part of the country? Or was it just some freak, like types of things that was just bad luck, basically?
Unfortunately, I think one of them was the weather and um not knowing like something was wrong with her because she had an aborted calf after she had already calved just fine with the one that she had prior. So that one I think was a little bit pertaining to the weather and some natural causes. The other one was an absolute like shocker. I mean, we bought her from somewhere in the Midwest. She had her calf. It was her first heifer calf. Her first calf, and she had her too early. And then when we had, like, I did it, I can't say it, narcolepsy or whatever the autopsy of the calf is. And they said it was just a natural cause. Genetically, she had anencephaly, I think, and she wouldn't have made it anyways. And so majority of them are just natural causes, but when it's more than one and you have such a small herd, it makes you guess. Like, I second guess everything. And so I had the vet come out and look at everything. We had our bull tested. Everything looked good with our bull. Like, we made sure we crossed every T and dotted every I to make sure that there wasn't something going on in our herd, because we do have other, like, I mean, obviously they get checked when they come to our ranch and that kind of thing. But there's still, like, there's things that even when the vet does check them to get them over to us, like whether they're coming from Oklahoma, Texas, Michigan, wherever they're coming from, that they might not know, like something that could be sitting dormant. And that's just, I mean, that's what the vet has explained to us. And so you just never know, and you can't place blame on anybody, obviously, but things happen, just life and the circle of it. But it is still hard to swallow when you only have 20 head of cattle or 25 head of cattle, and you can't afford for a cow to not have a heifer, or, them to abort their cows, or you lose a cow. Like, it's detrimental to your herd. And so we literally had everything tested, and like I said, checked the bull, and everything is good. So they were just like, we're sorry, but 90% of the time it's just natural causes. And I had second opinions come in, and they said the same thing.
When you're running a ranch or taking care of animals, you need a feed store you can trust, one that knows the products, the lifestyle, and the community.
Strutty's Feed and Pet Supply is a family-owned business proudly supporting the Spring Branch and Bernie areas. Their knowledgeable staff is always ready to help you find exactly what you need.
From livestock, horse, and show feeds to pet supplies, wild bird feed, deer feeders, blinds, and lawn and garden essentials, Strutty's has you covered.
With 2 convenient locations and top-quality brands, they're your one-stop shop for everything from cattle and horses to dogs, chickens, and wildlife.
Visit Struttys.com to explore their products or stop by their Bernie or Spring Branch stores. So you mentioned, some of your mentors are like Randy Murray and Dale Hunt, who live in southern states. So are Odins the kind of the ones that live near you that you go to
Yes.
when you need advice specifically for raising the Longhorns in Wisconsin?
Yep. Her and I talk every single day, it seems like, and we're always like, okay, what do I need to do here? And then our husbands talk, like my husband will call him because he doesn't want to go through me. And I mean, they just had a conversation yesterday about feed and our nutritional program. And I was like, if you're going to talk, you call him. So yeah, we talk to them quite a bit. We actually have a partner bull with them and Dale Hunt. So we're excited to see where that goes. He's, freshly this first season of calves on the ground or this year. And we can't wait to see what his future brings for all of us.
So what sort of adaptations have they kind of talked you through having to make for, wintering the Longhorns up there?
Honestly, I mean, just making sure that, they have the water. I didn't realize that, well, my husband knew this, but I didn't, that water, they are more apt to drink a lot more than in the wintertime than they are in the summertime. Didn't know that. Making sure that, we have enclosures for them to go into, which we do. I feel like we've added more and more and more shelters for them. We unfortunately live in an area where we have sandier soil, so that plays a part into, like, we don't have the best grass for them to graze. So we look to Cannon for sure, and Dale, and Randy. Even I've talked to him about like making sure that our feed program is great and that they have loose mineral at all the time, and doing that so we can make sure that they're putting the weight on they need in the wintertime.
So let's say you go in town and stop at the feed store or go run an errand. Are you known as the Longhorn people, or what do all these folks in dairy country think about your growing herd?
It's not so much when we go into the feed store. We work with Prairie Ag out of Menominee, Wisconsin, and they work with Cannon and Mandy, and they work with Ammon and Allie, Mass too, out of Painted Outlaw. So like they are aware of people, in the Longhorn industry, but it is people that drive by our house, and they're like, they stop and stare and take pictures. And it's like a foreign object that just dropped out of the sky. And they are like constantly like, I'll see people message me on my Facebook or on Instagram, and they're like, you're those Longhorn people, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, like, and I don't look at that like that, because I look at like Dale Hunt's program and Randy's program and the Silers and them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like those are goals right there, having that many. And my husband is like, you're nuts. That's never going to happen. And then we have people in our area that drive by and they look at just one of our baby calves and they're like, how do they just grow horns like that? And it's so fun to have those conversations with people.
So like growing up in Iowa with Longhorns, I was used to them. Like I was around them every day, right? But still, when we'd go visit my grandparents in Wisconsin, I would get so excited if I saw some on the drive or something, because, it's not like you are in Texas or Oklahoma where you see them every few miles. So I can relate to that for sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about your herd today. What, if someone's going to drive by your website, what are the ones that you're really proud of that they should for sure take a look at? What are you breeding towards? Just talk to me a little bit about the genetics and all of that.
Full transparency, I am still learning the genetics myself. If you would have asked me that question, if I would be on this podcast a year and a half ago, I would have been like, I don't even know. One thing my husband will tell you, he's super proud. We have our biggest cow tip to tip is 90. She just measured at 94 and a half. And that's one of the biggest in the state of Wisconsin. So that is his like go-to. He talks about it all the time. And she's a big animal. It's not even just her horns. She's just a big bodied, beautiful animal. She's given us beautiful calves.
What's her name?
Unpredictable. So Unpredictable is her name. And so we bought her from our Gresham sale here in Wisconsin 2 years ago. And she is like a puppy dog. She's so gentle around our kids. She's so gentle to work in the chute. She is great. We brought home our first cattle dog from Missouri, and she's so great with him and he's great with her. So that's really awesome. But she's definitely my husband's pride possession. When I look at my herd today, I love the diversity of it, I guess you could say, for the lack of a better word. I brought 2 home from Randy's this fall, Misty Moon and Tempting Doll, which gave us more older genetics and just different. I like uniqueness in mine. Like, I know a lot of people go for the horn, which is great, but I like looking at ours and they're all different. I do have I didn't ever think I would have as many white cows as we do. But we have, I think, 4. And so I'm like, okay, we need to add a little bit more. But when I look out, like, we have something of everything. And that's one thing that I love. We have maybe one cow can be a little bit in her emotions and in her feels. But otherwise, my temperament of my cows, like, that's one thing that's very important to me. I want my kids to be able to go out and not feel intimidated or not feel like they're going to get charged or anything like that. And none of our cows do that. I mean, if you get close and you pick at them, they're going to throw their horns back and forth. But outside of that, like, that's it. Like, I feel comfortable that my kids can come out and work with us with our cows. And I think a lot of people think I'm crazy for that because they are so intimidated by their horns, but they're so docile and graceful that I think it's just an outstanding thing to have. Again, when it comes to genetics, so I'm still learning a lot. We have a pace bull at our house, out of Bruce Wayne. So he's got bigger base with his horns, but he's throwing. His first crop calf came out last year, and he is throwing the most beautiful colored calves. He's hit every color this year. He's thrown brindle, he's thrown black and white, he's thrown Grula, and this year he threw dun. I'm really excited. He's 3 years he's coming up on 4 in July, and it's just really cool to see. I mean, the one that because I also purchased him from Randy, and then I purchased another heifer from him the same year I bought Bruce Wayne, and she gave us a black and white last year, and then this beautiful red and white, and she's going to brindle out just like her. And it's just so cool, like, to be able to have something of everything, because that's what I want.
Well, you mentioned that you have bought some at the local GNTLA sale. Have you all consigned to any sales yet, or do you participate in any futurities? Tell me a little bit about that.
So futurities we participated in 2 years ago. Unfortunately, that's not something that I love doing. It's a lot of work, and I don't know. We didn't really love the futurity aspect. We did consign for the first time last year at the Gresham sale. And she went to Canada. So I haven't heard how she's doing now, but I know she went to Canada, which was cool. We haven't consigned anything yet. Big goal of mine is to consign some of the heifers that we get next year, possibly even to the Texas Treasure heifer sale. And then we'll kind of go from there. We'll see what happens. But I just don't feel like, in my personal opinion, we're there quite yet. I want to be really confident in the animals that I'm consigning, and that's something that I'm just not quite there right now, but it'll be in the future.
Speaking of the future, do you kind of have a vision where maybe you want to see the ranch or see yourself or the herd in, like, let's say, 5, 10, however far out you want to go?
Yes, we have a pretty big vision. It's probably not like everybody else's, which I feel is pretty cool. A big reason why we started the ranch and what the growth of is we are turning it into a nonprofit that will be a home for victims of human trafficking and child exploitation to come and learn the purpose of slow living and incorporate animals in that. And I have just found so much peace when I walk out into my field, and it probably sounds really cliche, but I found so much peace walking into my field and seeing these animals and how beautiful and how graceful that they are. And it's giving us so much purpose in life and given my kids something to see. My youngest has struggled with behavioral issues for the longest time, and he is so calm when he's with these animals. And so our vision is to grow quite significantly in the next 5 to 10 years so we can bring these animals to this location of where we end up building here. Hopefully we find the land in the next couple years and expand it that way. And I want other people's animals there too, whether it's the females are no longer going to reproduce, but they want to retire them or go somewhere where they can just have that purpose. And I feel like that's going to be the vision of that. And I cannot wait for that.
So have you started taking steps towards that already? Are there things you're doing, with that in mind when you're making some of your, whether it be purchasing or breeding decisions or that type of?
Yep, absolutely. I have right now talked about it quite a bit with other people. We're looking at investors for the land right now. And then from there, we'll start. There's some in our herd right now that I know will be going there, and I cannot wait for that. As far as breeding goes, we haven't really looked at that yet, but I know that some of our middle-aged cows that will be their home, and I can't wait.
Are you planning to have other breeds as well, or are you going to keep it strictly Longhorns?
Probably just Longhorns. Horses probably eventually. I don't do birds, so a lot of people have talked about chickens, and I am deathly afraid of chickens. So have no problem getting in a small pen with a bull. Doesn't bother me at all, but a chicken will absolutely scare the daylights out of me. So I don't know about that, but the Longhorns is going to be the face of it.
So are you able to speak a little bit about like why that mission of the nonprofit is so important to you?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to. So growing up, we had a close family friend that was actually a victim of it. And I have just found that it's something that people don't realize how bad it actually is in the world today. And then my son was also a victim of grooming. And so I have always made it my mission to like figure out how I can get more involved in it, how I can put, have these uncomfortable conversations, but also like do more and not rely on other people to do it. And so about 5 years ago, I was able and introduced to one organization that led me to the organization that I'm with right now, which is called Dark Horse Benefits. And what they do is they go into local law enforcement around the United States and train their law enforcement agents on how they can take down the criminals that are on the dark web, or take down the rings that are out there, or however it may look like in that realm of area. And from there, I've realized that there's so much hype on the takedowns and the operations, which obviously it's needed, but there's not as much hype, or there's not as much funding to take care of these victims. And so the problem with that is when they go and they do these rescue missions, they don't have a place for these victims to go. And being a person with a childhood that I had, like, I know that is important. And it was frustrating to be able to witness, because I've been able to be on some of these operations. It was super frustrating to witness that, like, when they're arresting women even for prostitution, or they're rescuing people from the kids and women from these trafficking rings, they don't have a bed to take them to because they don't have the money, or the beds are full, or it's just not an option for them. And I got so mad listening to this over and over again, that, and knowing what I know in the industry and in, what we're talking about, I was just like, I can either hope and pray that somebody else is going to take the lead on this, or I can just do it myself. And it's a big thing, it's a big bite to chew right now. But somebody has to do it. And so I kind of approached the founder of Dark Horse Benefits and told them that what my passion was, and the aftercare of these victims and their restoration. And so we put together an operational plan of what it's going to look like, and he was all on board. And so now it's just a matter of finding the land and building it out.
It's amazing. Let's talk a little bit about your hired hand powered website. So how did you find us? What made you decide to use us for the website for your growing herd?
So I actually hate technology, especially when it comes to websites. And I started like a Canva website originally. And then I was like, no, this isn't going to work. And then I think it was Mandy actually who was like, you just need to bite the bullet and hire hired hands, because they do everything on the back end when it comes to your cows. And I literally was like, say less, because I don't want no part of this. Like, to be able to pay what we pay and have this taken care of, best money we've ever spent. 100% the best money. And to even see it come to fruition, there's stuff that I want to add, like our newsletter and doing things like that, but we're just not there yet. I do want to be able to eventually down the road have something that, because the ranch is going to, or the nonprofit's going to be actually called Freedom Bridge at Dark Horse. But I would like to implement, something like that, and working with you guys and knowing that like we can do certain things is so nice. But the main reason is just how easy it is with adding cattle and asking you guys questions, and you guys being able to be like, yep, we can do this, or yep, we can do that, or we'll handle this. And it's just easy breezy, beautiful. Like, it's so easy to work with.
What makes a hired hand website different? It's powered by the same pedigree data you rely on to manage your herd.
Your animal records, photos, pedigrees, progeny, measurements, all connected, all searchable, all working for you online.
When buyers explore your site, they're not just looking at pictures. They're viewing your program through real data.
That's the advantage of a pedigree-driven website platform.
See how it works at hiredhandsoftware.com. Have you noticed a difference at all with like how you're able to engage with potential buyers, or, folks who are maybe kicking tires on looking at some of your herd to purchase?
I don't think we've had that quite yet, just because we haven't really had. If you ask my husband, we don't sell anything, we just buy it all. So I think that's where we're at right now. So we haven't really experienced that for the most part.
So you mentioned buying. Does that mean that you're active online on Hired Hand Live sometimes for the sales?
Every sale. If my internet was working last weekend, I think I would have almost accidentally bought Jaguar Laura from Randy, and I think my husband would have divorced me on the spot.
So was your husband the reason the internet wasn't working, or was it just a blessing
we were
in
at
disguise?
football for my youngest, and I was like, I think I'm going to bid on this cow. And then he's like, oh, okay. And I think he thought I took that literally, because then he saw what she sold for, and he's like, did you just spend $35,000 on a cow? And I was like, no. He goes, oh, you're lucky.
Do you and your husband often, like when you do want to make a serious purchase, do you guys agree on, like when you're going through the sale catalog or looking at the lots online, do you agree on which one would look good in your herd? Do you have different tastes?
We have definitely different tastes. It is a cackling hen type of conversation between us two, which is crazy because last year at Gresham, we bought, I think she won the futurity for the heifers. I can't remember. Or she was in the top 2 or top 3. And he was in the back, like working the cattle with the crew. And I was sitting in front row, and I had my eyes on 2 cattle. And all of a sudden he's like pointing his stick at me, and Cannon, I think, was sitting by me. And he's like, I think he wants you to bid on that. And I was like, no, he doesn't. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he goes, keep bidding. And we bidded it and we bought it. And I'm like, why did you want this cow? Like, that wasn't even on our radar. Oh, she was really nice to work with in the back. So I thought it would be a good thing for our ranch. I was like, whatever. Okay. That's majority of our conversations. Or I'll text him and be like, I think we really need this cow. And he's like, okay, so I'm just going to say yes, because once you are in that mindset, you're not getting out of it. And I'm just better off just saying, okay, whatever.
Are you one of those folks that spends a lot of time looking at other people's cows and websites online?
No, truthfully, not really. I have my eye on like certain ones, like certain cows. Like if I see them right away, it is my gut instinct that I need to have that. And so we have, like I said, I have probably 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 from Randy, and probably the same from Dale. And then the rest are from Gresham, from the sale, when we've just purchased them at the sale.
So do you have Randy and Dale's websites bookmarked that you're
yes, I do.
what they have?
Absolutely.
A lot?
Yep.
It's too bad we can't set notifications up. So
I know. And I have, there's some other ranches that I really like what Silers do. I really love 3P Ranch, you know, and then there's just some other ones. We got one from Rockin' D. Last year Adam had posted it online on Facebook, actually, and I messaged him and we purchased that one from him, and she's turning into be something special. So I'm so grateful for that, because I cannot wait to see what she turns into, because she's very unique in her color. She's going to twist. She's already starting to curve back. Her mom is insane. Just a beautiful cow. So I cannot wait. I'm very much like, if I see it, I trust my instinct right away that I have to have. Like, my gut is like, yep, you have to have that. And then I just kind of beg for it.
What's her name if folks want to take a look at her?
RD Showstopper.
Let's talk a little bit about social media too, because that's obviously kind of tied to the website. So I feel like you're really qualified to speak on social media. It seems like you've been very consistent and intentional about sharing your ranch journey online. So what made you decide to start sharing that through like Instagram Reels and, instead of just photos?
Because I think it's super relatable. I think that especially when it comes to like the Longhorn industry, it can be a little bit intimidating for people that are just like wanting to dabble in it. And then from my perspective, where I dabbled and then I jumped all in, and it's super intimidating because it's like, it can be it's a very big investment. And especially like when you're talking to people who know what they're doing because they've been doing it and it's a generational thing for them. For us, obviously it's not. So I think that the ranching aspect or the lifestyle is something that people are actually more in tune to nowadays because they want to see that slower living piece of life and gaining more purpose. And that's, for me, when I think of ranching, that's what I think of. You know, obviously there's so much more to it, but it's slow. It's a slow living. It's seeing something come to fruition that you've put hard effort and hard work into, and knowing that like I don't have all of my ducks in a row, hardly ever, but we're still making it happen. And so if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I feel like being vulnerable and being real and authentic and sharing the fact, I don't even know how this has happened, but I posted one post on TikTok and on Instagram about my husband being a glorified ranch hand, or not even a glorified ranch hand, like he's just my ranch hand. And I've had so many conversations around it because it is true. I mean, he just does everything and does it all. But I think that if I can get one person, like that is a big goal of mine because that's what it was for me, to buy and invest into a Longhorn. The mission will be I will be so fulfilled by it because I am so grateful what it's done to my life. And so I want to give that back. And I mean, there's so much dark stuff on social media nowadays, and I've seen it and I live it because of what I do from our nonprofit side, that being able to share this kind of stuff and lighthearted and people loving to see like what's going to drop. Did you have a heifer? Did you have a bull? And what color is it? And they get so in tune to it. Like some of the stuff that I share on other things, they don't care. But when I share my ranch stuff, everybody wants to know. And so it's brought a lot more fun into social media for me. And I love that.
Was there one reel or TikTok besides the one you mentioned maybe that kind of made you think, okay, this might actually be worth my time to film and put out there and everything, like this is worth doing?
Yeah, there was one on my old. So I don't even have my rock bottom Instagram got taken away. And so did my personal one got taken away because I was sharing so much about the nonprofit that they red flagged everything. And a lot of it was a reel that I had posted was actually one of my cows, another perfect girl, which I also bought from Dale last year at their sale, had a heifer and her color has changed so much. And so I showed, it wasn't even real, actually, it was a carousel from when she was first born to what she looks like now, because she looked just like her mama. But now she's darkened up and she's roaning out quite a bit and brindling out. And now she's almost black, and she was red when she was born. Or she's Parker Brown. I always get those terms mixed up. But so that one actually shared, like everybody was like, holy cow. And they don't realize like the change that you see in these animals. And that one did. Me walking in my flip-flops, people think that that's quite hilarious that I walk in cow manure in my flip-flops, but I forget that my flip-flops are on half the time and just wing it.
Do you find that it's hard to film your day-to-day ranch while still actually working, or have you just gotten used to having your phone out as part of the process?
That's something that I have to get better at. And it's funny that you say that, because I work with a business coach and a social media coach, and she's like, you seriously need to film more. Like, I want to see you filming when you're in the skid steer putting out round bales, because that's one thing I do have to do, especially in the fall. My husband is an avid hunter, so I do everything in the fall when he's gone. So that's one thing. And they're like, you have so much gold content that you don't video. So that's something that I want to get better at, because I feel like I would grow a lot more if I put that stuff out there. and not think that I need it to be perfect, because I am a perfectionist and I need rules kind of almost. So I will try to do that, but I don't do it right now as much as I should.
So you mentioned that you would be over the moon if just one person decided to get into Longhorns. Is that your ultimate goal, or are there other goals that you're hoping that your social media growth will eventually lead to?
I think that's one of the goals. Another goal is just, it seems kind of very small, but I just want people to see the joy that it brings. It does bring a lot of joy. I mean, there's a lot of obviously things in the back end that people don't know about, the hard work and the loss and all that kind of stuff, but it brings us a lot of joy. Another thing that actually a big goal of mine that was accomplished at the Texas Treasure Sale, and it's something, again, very small, is when bigger herds can look at your herd and be impressed with it, or say you're doing really good work. And I had an ad in the Texas Treasure Heifer Sale catalog, and Dale actually mentioned, he's like, I think it's awesome what you're growing and what you look at. And Randy has told me several times, you have an eye. I have an expensive eye, my husband always tells me, but he goes, you have an eye for some incredible cattle. And not knowing anything, because I literally started this 4 years ago. I don't know anything about pedigrees. I don't know anything about nothing, literally nothing. I look at a cow and I'm just like, I like that one. Let's take it home. So hearing that from people who do know so much, it's pretty cool. And it makes you feel really, really proud. So a big goal of mine is yes, what you had mentioned, but obviously the growth of the ranch means the growth of the nonprofit. And that's the ultimate goal.
The little game set up for us to play. Are you up for it?
Sure.
Okay. So we're going to tie this into your social media. So the segment, we're going to call it, You Don't See That on Social Media. So I'm going to say a statement and then you're going to end the sentence for me. Does that work?
Okay.
All right. You don't see this on social media, but some days on the ranch are
hard.
Okay. You don't see this on social media, but when you're first starting out,
it's a shit show.
I like it.
Literally.
You don't see this on social media, but building confidence as a rancher takes
a lot of trial and error and a lot of tears.
You also don't see this on social media, but some of the hardest moments are
the most gratifying.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me and for playing our little game. Go ahead before we wrap up here and tell everyone where they can find you online, your website, your socials, all of that.
So our website is Rock Bottom Ranch WI. So Wisconsin, obviously, but it's just rockbottomranchwi.com. And then for right now, it's just at Mrs. R. Bauer on Instagram, or Ryann Bauer, or Rock Bottom Ranch on Facebook, because my normal stuff is gone. So we're still we're in the rebuild of that. So that's where they can find us. And we love new followers and new people just joining the community. I love it.
And are you open to ranch visitors or questions?
Yeah, all the time.
Perfect. Well, thank you again so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.